and when to take what the defense gives you. So overall, I'm very pleased with the day. No injuries as of now that I know of, which is obviously in the second extended scrimmage, kind of the biggest thing that you want to walk out of there with knowing. So very pleased with the way our guys attacked this first 2 weeks, and now we're going to transition to an off day tomorrow and execution week next week, which it's all about playing well under pressure and performing well in critical situations, and we'll put our guys in those situations all next week to make sure that we're prepared for those critical moments in the game. So with that, I'll open up for any questions, but about conference realignment.
Coach, did the offensive line kind of have that same jump in improvement overall this week as they did in the first week of camp?
I think honestly the first week of camp they kind of came out and set the tone. I think our D-line kind of responded. And so I think our offensive line is still trying to figure out how to match that intensity again. That's kind of what you want. Iron sharpens iron. And there's been some good days and bad days. We got to do a much better job consistently protecting the quarterback, and whether that's, protection is an 11-man job. Most people are going to blame the offensive line, but it's the quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, and the O-line working as one. So that's an area of emphasis that we've got to be better at. And again, it comes down to execution.
Eli mentioned last week that the wide receivers were struggling blocking outside. Nobody really impressed you throughout this second week. Has that gotten any better?
Yeah, I think they've responded really well. I think they took, you can either BCD, blame, complain, and defend poor performance, or you can respond and focus on the process of improvement. And I really felt like they've done that. We're not by no means perfect, but there were some plays today out on the perimeter that were made and sprung because playing forward, which is something Coach Moore talks about all the time. After somebody catches the ball, we got to play forward, block forward. I know there was a couple of really big plays that it was because wide receivers were playing forward, and that was good to see today, but by no means are we a finished product.
Coach, you mentioned Chris Abrams in your opener
Yep.
there. How do you see him impacting things defensively this year?
I think just continually to get better. I think he matched up well against a lot of wide receivers last year, and him and Ennis combined were really good at PBUs, and I anticipate that continuing. He was defensive player and special teams player of the day maybe 2 days ago, and a defensive player of the day maybe 4 days ago. So he's been picking off quarterbacks and blocking field goals. So he keeps that up. Crud, we'll be happy. He'll get some more pizza sold. I know that.
How's J.C. Carlisle's improved this year? It's his important sometimes goal at one was.
Yeah, that's why JC came back, was to improve on the fundamentals and improve on the techniques and be 1 year better and more mature, and that's what he's working on. I've seen more of a leadership role out of JC, not necessarily vocally, but body language-wise, being a great teammate, studying tape, and I'm really proud of who JC has become and what he's becoming.
Coach, what have you seen out of Dalen in an elevator role, taking Martez's spot at the start?
Yeah, I've seen more urgency out of Dalen. I think his urgency in and around the building has been much better. He's been more consistent player. We've actually had to move him around a little bit besides just the star, playing him at the rover position. He's done a nice job of accepting those opportunities to stay and play on the field, and he's just got to continue to trust the process. He's not been able to create the amount of turnovers that he normally has in the first couple of weeks, but he can't get frustrated with that. He's got to continue just to do his job and improve fundamentally, and know that the process never stops.
Eli, jump into offense. What have you kind of seen from the tight ends, and how do you expect kind of their roles to possibly change with Kirby Moore's offense?
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the way that Brett Norfleet and Jordan Harris have played in the run game. I think those guys' physical nature has surprised me and really the rest of the guys about how well that they play. They've been physical, and they've been consistent catching the football. Now, obviously, there's a lot of volume there that they're still having to learn, and I think it'll be a little bit easier for him once we get into game week. I thought Tyler Stevens had his best day that I've seen him have today. Consistently blocking, consistently catching, consistently making the right decisions, and hopefully that's a product of continued growth.
Coach, you talk about the quarterback position. It comes down to being a smart, disciplined decision maker. Which
Yeah.
quarterback has shown that the best throughout camp?
Well, I think there's been a lot of ups and downs in that, and we still got a lot of work to do to figure that out.
Yeah, speaking on the quarterback competition.
Who's speaking on the quarterback competition?
You mentioned
Yeah.
camp and everything like that. How have you seen kind of the guys respond to that request and just throughout the camp so far?
Yeah, I don't think that's been an issue really for Brady. I think he's a natural leader. His gas meter is through the roof. So I think those guys respond to him. I think Sam's having to develop that with, being a good teammate, getting to know the guys. Jake obviously has been doing that before, so it's kind of natural to those two guys. I think Jabari's done a really nice job with the freshmen. I think he's got a great relationship with those guys, but it's got to transcend just the class that you're in. It's got to be throughout the whole team. So.
Eli, you mentioned before 8 to 9 guys on that offensive line still battling. Anybody in the second week that stood out to you?
Yeah, I think we're down a little bit, maybe more to 7 or 8 now that are really consistently battling. I think Cameron Johnson's made a real improvement. I've been really, really proud of Connor Tollison. His gas meter has gone through the roof, and he's really taken on ownership of that offensive line, from calling it, from being dedicated, from snapping the ball, from gaining weight. So I've been proud of him, and I think that's naturally what happens when the game means something to you, and there's an opportunity to get put on the bench.
Coach, what has the offseason been like for Harrison Mead? He talked about yesterday kind of being in a little bit better shape because he expects to be on the kickoff team. What has it been for him?
Yeah, Harrison and I are on the same diet. We keep saying we're on a diet, but no, he's trying to do all the right things consistently. But I did ask him if his mom brought some cinnamon rolls, and I don't think he told me the truth for this weekend. I don't think he wanted to share them with me. I'd say this though: I know Harrison's excited about trying to be the kickoff guy, but don't write that down in pen yet. Blake Craig's coming, and I've been very impressed with the way Blake has kicked the ball and the way he's consistently attacked every single day. So. Make sure Harrison doesn't count his chickens before they hatch.
What have you seen from Harrison? You talk about explosion in his kicks and things like that. What has he been working on fundamentally?
I'm actually gonna just lie if I answer that question consistently here. I just know that we've been working on him mental prep, consistent mental performance, and we've been talking about trying to be at a weight that he can consistently play with. And keep it under control. We don't want him to lose any NIL value by not being the thicker kicker, so it's a fine line there.
Coach, have you seen Mookie Cooper develop maturity this offseason?
I think Mookie has learned to play without the ball, and I think that's the toughest challenge for a wide receiver is you're consistently critiqued and valued based off your production with the ball in your hand, but I think understanding now that he's been here so much that, the play doesn't care who makes it. And consistently going out and doing your job and doing the little things and executing alignments and executing the routes as called and making sure you block and play on special teams. And that's what I've seen Mookie do, and I'm really proud of him for doing that. And I think naturally when you do that, the ball finds you.
Eli, who are some of the true freshmen and guys maybe who have come over during summer and obviously in the fall camp, kind of doing the first camp that stood out to you so far?
All of them, because if I don't name one, then we got issues. So all of them have stood out in a positive way.
Eli, Zero's holding his back to school event later this evening. Just what's kind of NIL done to make that happen?
Yeah, really proud of Darius for giving back. We're blessed to be a blessing, and I think for him to understand that and actively give back. I know I'm going to go support him. I hope everybody else will go support him. I know his teammates will be there. I think it's just an attitude of gratitude, and that was actually something we talked about in our meeting today as we talk about being emotionally consistent. One of the ways you can do that is to view the world with an attitude of gratitude and understand that, we're very fortunate and blessed to be here at Mizzou and in the SEC, and obviously for student athletes it's the best they've ever had it, and it's going to continue to get better, but they're blessed to be a blessing. And I talked about last week, like I said, Coach Malzahn used to say, use your influence in a positive way, and that's just what we're trying to do.
Coach, because there's so much continuity on the defensive side of the ball, do you think it's been kind of more efficient fall camp just because you don't have to worry as much about learning personnel and stuff like that?
No, I think every year and every team has a life of its own, and you can't get caught thinking that, well, we've all been together, so we know what each other's doing. No, each year you have to start from the basics and build up. I think the difference is you can build a little faster, but you can't skip steps. And that's what I've been really pleased with Coach Baker, is that he hasn't tried to skip any steps. And I think that's partly because, obviously, as co-defensive coordinator, Coach Smith, but also Coach Peoples and Coach Pogue do a really nice job of checking Coach Baker when he gets out of line.
Coach, I understand the off-season camp is a grind for players, but I know it's also a grind for coaches. How are you all holding up? And how are you all be able to bring the same energy every day as the players?
Yeah, we talked about it today. Like, this is hard compared to what? You know, like, compared to what? Like, I mean, it's fall camp, and yeah, we work long days, but it sure beats, you know, some of the other jobs that are out there. There's people that are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, man, living paycheck to paycheck, really struggling. There's single moms out there that are doing everything they can just to make it. And so I got no room to complain or gripe. You know, compared to what, this is pretty easy. And so I'm very blessed and fortunate. I think our staff feels the same way. We love what we do. We love who we're around. And there's a lot tougher jobs out there. You know, there's a lot of people that have it a lot harder than I do. And you know, our goal and hope is that just we play so well, maybe we take their minds off of it for a couple hours in the fall.
Eli, what was it like to kind of have Chase Daniel back for a couple days, and kind of what did you take away from that?
Well, I started worrying about my job security. No, I'm just kidding. Chase is phenomenal. I mean, he's a natural born leader, great speaker. Obviously, he's got incredible not buy-in. He's got incredible credibility. He's got incredible credibility with the players because him playing here, being under-recruited, always had something to prove. Played so long in the NFL, always had that right kind of chip on his shoulder. You know, shared his story with the team, was able to give insight to both sides of the ball. And you know, I think the other thing that was really cool about it is we talk about chasing two dreams all the time: life with football, life outside of the game. And he's transitioning into that second phase of his life outside of the game, and what's he want to do. And so, you know, that hey, what is it that I might potentially do? Whether it's TV, you know, he's really focused on taking care of his kids right now and giving back to them because he's sacrificed so much of their childhoods pursuing his dream of being an NFL quarterback. I think he's really focused on being the best dad that he can while also serving a purpose on his day-to-day basis. And so it was really cool for our guys to see that while he was here for a couple days.
Coach, the punting competition has seemed to be going well. What have Luke and Riley been able to do, and what do they need to keep doing to win the competition?
Yeah, honestly, it's all going to come down to consistency of performance. Like, they do a really good job in individual, and they do a really good job of team when it's just kind of like, wow, we're going to get 4 punts in a row. But today we went, you know, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and we had a couple of ducks punted out there. And so we got to, as a staff, find ways to create pressure on those guys so that they respond. Because, you know, we've got a pretty solid defense. We can't put them in bad positions because of a bad punt. So it's going to always be about consistency at the punting position.